Hello, welcome back to the Two Alphas Talk. Today we're going to speak to you about accuracy versus speed. You need a combination of both of them to be a decent shooter. But what should you concentrate on first, especially if you're a beginner shooter or even intermediate guys? We see a lot of social media, a lot of blogs, people talking about 1 second draw and shoot, but the person's only standing 3 feet away from the target. Can't miss area. What happens when you really need to use that 1 second in a gunfight to defend your life? Do we want to be fast and be the first one out, or do we want to make sure we're the first one to put a shot on the target?
And the story that you talked about with me was the woman that was here in Georgia, and her husband left the revolver at home, and somebody broke into her home. She put herself in the closet. She fired.
She tried to hide.
Right.
She tried to evade him. She went in the closet, no training whatsoever. She picked up a revolver and she hit the gentleman or the bad guy 3 times out of 6 rounds.
Right.
And he fled the house. He didn't have a firearm, but he was coming to hurt her. And they found this guy bleeding out a mile away where he had walked into a wooded area or whatever. They found him. And she defended her life and a child. There was a child involved as well.
Right.
So she was accurate. Didn't do any flashy draw, didn't have appendix carry, didn't have small in the back, didn't take it off her ankle out of her pocket. She picked up a revolver, she hid in a closet trying to evade this person, and he still was relentless, and she had to shoot him. And that's what we're talking about. In reference to use of a firearm, accuracy is always going to trump speed, because you cannot miss fast enough to win a gunfight, and that's the bottom line.
Which is true. And if you go read some of the novels of some of the old-time gunfighters and stuff, they even tell you that accuracy is the most important. They always say, slow down, take your time, find the first guy you're going to shoot him first, then go from there. And they usually say, pick out the threat first, then just take your time and, don't panic and start shooting the other guys, and that's how, Wyatt Earp, you go read his story, he tells that. And especially in a lot of his gunfights, they just said, take your time and just shoot the guys,
One of the drills that I always offer to people when they ask for different drills, and we can make up drills and it still helps somebody, and you tell them the things that you want to become proficient on. But one of the best drills that kind of standing out there is the dot torture drill. And what that does is gives you a myriad of gun handling skills, from drawing, one hand, single, strong hand, weak hand, whichever way you want to hear it out there, support hand, gun hand, whatever. Go from left to right when you're shooting. And you can do it close, and then you can move back as you master it. As you gain proficiency in it, you can start moving back. And that's a great drill because it has multiple rounds, single rounds. It tells you on the target what you need to shoot for each array, or each time you move in the iteration, it will tell you what you need to do. Great drill to work on, because it not only does it hone in your accuracy, but as you move forward and you do other drills, that accuracy carries over to your speed. So you marry the two of them together. Same thing with dry fire. A lot of guys mislead themselves because they get real fast out of the holster with that click, but then they holster the gun. When you're on the range or you're in real life and you hear a click and it's supposed to be a bang, you need to do some type of remedial action to get that gun back in the battery in order to fire it again. So when you do dry fire, think about a slap rack before you holster. Think about slap rack, slide locks open because the gun's dry, drop that magazine, insert a fresh magazine, let it go forward, because now you're working in a real practical context.
And if you don't believe that mechanical drills will mess you up during an actual real scenario, go read the FBI after action report of the shooting that happened in the 80s?
In Miami.
In Miami.
Mm-hmm.
And when
1986.
Yeah, and when they lost 2 FBI agents because what they trained on in the field, in their training, they carried it out to the field and it cost them their lives.
Mm-hmm. They always have to add in that everything's not going to go right. One of the things that I work on when I'm dealing with individuals and clients and students, whatever way you want to hear it, is we got to do 2 out of 3 things. If we have 3 things to do in order to get an effective round on target, you got to do at least 2 of them. Either your grip and your sight picture has to be good, and you can jack that trigger because you're still going to put a round, as they say, combat effective, or vice versa. 2 out of those 3 things have to be, you do 1 out of 3, you're not going to make an effective shot. You have to be able to understand that you can still fire that gun without a proper grip. And I'm not advocating that you don't use a proper grip, but if you get that gun out and it's not fully seated in your hand, you don't have the tang in your webbing of your hand, and you still pull that trigger, and you're in distance where you can, you don't have to make a precision shot, you're better off continue pulling the trigger, re-grip that, and keep moving. People don't understand that in a real gunfight, there's going to be a lot of chaos, and you have to be able to slow that down and manipulate your firearm in order to save your life and your loved ones.
Yeah, and those are all great points that I was bringing up, and there's something to think about. And just do your research, get back to us, shoot us some questions if you want to. Al has a lot of knowledge in that, and you know, he's probably not going to find him too much wrong, you know. But if you do, challenge him.
Please do.
Yeah.
And it's my opinions are based on facts. So I read things and then I take them from and I repeat them, and maybe sometimes I repeat them directly as they are, but most times they're really close. And I like to add in things that are practical. When you look at some of these videos on YouTube or wherever you find your videos, you'll see a lot of these guys are shooting one-handed in self-defense situations, and even guys that come up and attack other people, they got the gun in one hand. So it would behoove you to practice one hand, because your instinct is, we throw punches. When we learn how to fight, we throw punches. Punch one at a time. You don't throw 2 punches, you throw 1 punch at a time. So if you're doing that, it's the same thing that happens with a firearm. You're fighting for your life.
All right. And with that, we'll see you guys in the range. Check out our YouTube page, The Two Alphas Talk, and we'll see you in the next time.
See you on the range, guys.